Oh, there we go, people. Fantastic. Just going to give it an extra minute for people to come in. Fantastic. Okie dokie. Right. I think we got people joining. Okay. Okay. Right, yeah. Let's get this started. Hi, everyone. Wow. Digital Circus Live 2023. Third time doing it. Just to check, has anyone been to my workshop before? I put a Q&A in there. If you attended my workshop before, give me a like. Just to recap, I'm going to recover some slides I did from the first Digital Circus and the second Digital Circus. Reason being is they've been proven to be extremely popular. For those of you that haven't seen them, enjoy. For those of you who have, sorry, you might have seen them again, but it is very useful stuff. Let me just share my screen, making sure that you can all see. Let's go for the window. Okie dokie. Now I can still see the chat. Can everyone see this screen here? Cost-effective ways to impact audiences. Yep, fantastic. Okie dokie. Well, let's get cracking. I'm going to run through this quite quickly. There might not be time to take notes on everything. I've put a lot of stuff in. This is the third time I'm doing it. So basically, I'm taking everything from the trilogy, putting it all together. So let's get started on today's session. We're going to cover some of the benefits and solutions of these sort of 5 points. We're going to look at what I've done before. We're going to look at shifting mindsets, building a brand that will impact. So building a brand that will impact audiences. I'm not going to go too in depth in this because Branding by Jules is at 3:30. So be sure to check out hers. We're going to look at understanding your look, sound, and feel of your actual brand and your business as well. And finding audiences and what they want. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Carley. I'm a creative consultant. I'm an educator and designer. My company is called Touch Guide Designs. So basically, I support clients to meaningfully connect with their audiences, and I do that through strategy and design-driven solutions. So I help you connect with your audience better, often through the power of visual design. So kicking things off to begin with, your mindset shift. So one of the things that's really important, and it's helped me in business, I know it helps a lot of people as well, is shifting the mindset. So often we have lots of limiting mindsets. Believe me, I've had that recently. Last year, I've been out of work. I've been trying to find new clients. And so limiting mindsets can definitely play a part in it. But for my role in helping businesses, I have to shift things around and look at coming up with creative solutions for people. I have to look at ways that we're going to impact audiences better. And also some of them had to be cost effective. A lot of people don't have the budget to be able to deliver on these things. So one of the things I want to really reiterate, essentially, restriction gives facilitation to innovation. I want to make that clear again. Restriction gives facilitation to innovation. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a business advisor. But one of the things I do realize is that we have operational limits and we have growth ceilings. Now, the operational limits don't bound you at the bottom. You can achieve more. You can grow. You can find ways to exceed expectations and impact audiences. Your growth ceiling can be adjusted. Just because you're perhaps maybe limited on finance or capabilities doesn't mean your business has to be. Again, the slide from last time, we all know that time costs more than money. However, we don't operate our business like that. We always go in with a money mindset. Now, when I'm working with clients, if they've got a restriction on budget, that's fine. If they've got no money, that's great because I know we're starting off from zero. I can work with that. We can build upon that, essentially. So one of the things that's really important, if you're being paid nothing to market yourself, i.e. everything that you put into your business is an investment. It's not a cost. It's an investment. So let's focus on building a brand quickly that will impact. 3 core things that you need in the brand. Brand's content strategy must have these 3 pillars: to entertain and inspire an audience, to educate and inform an audience, and to convince and sell to an audience, essentially. So when you're building a business and you're building your brand around that business as well, you need these 3 pieces of content pillars, essentially. So when you're putting out content to your audiences, you want to be able to entertain them, you want to inspire them, you want to educate them, inform them, and convince them. And we're going to figure out ways you can do that throughout this little presentation, as it were. One of the things that people often struggle with is working out perhaps their business positioning. Now, there's different tasks you can use to work out your business position, but one of my favorite is the assumption versus opposite task. You can do this at home, grab a pen and paper, you can text it to friends and family. What you want to do, you want to ask them to write down every single thing they can think about your business, about your service, about your offer. So we give coffee shops as an example for here. Coffee shops are perhaps bland, they're for hipsters, no alcohol. You can maybe buy coffee beans. It's a place to meet people. They have fixed locations and basic social media. Grind came along and went, how do we approach this differently? Grind, based in London, they decided to flip things on its head. They did the opposite. They went for bright colors. They have a place that's a bit classy and mixed. They've got a drinks bar at the back. They know at the end of a Friday, you're not going to go and have a coffee. That's for your Friday morning. Friday afternoon or evening, you want to grab a drink. So they facilitated their place to have coffee in the day, drinks in the evening. They offer subscription delivery services for their coffee. They have parties and event trucks that you can actually hire out. They're bringing the coffee to you, essentially. And their social media is personally appealing using user-generated content. So this is one of the things that you can do yourself. Get a piece of paper, scrap of paper, text people the question, ask them to write everything that they assume about your business and things that they will think about, and then work out your positioning and find the niche within there. Again, I'm going to go quickly through these. One of my key tasks that I do, and we're working on building a brand for a business, is we work on the brand attributes. And the reason we work on the brand attributes is because we can then change it into our brand statement. Again, you can rewatch these slides. You can meet me in the expo booth. I can go over these again. But again, piece of paper or your template, you grab this and you ask yourself the questions. How would your audience describe you? How would you describe your customers? How do you sound? What's the personality? How do others feel after interacting with you? And what tangible impact do you deliver? And how are you different from others? Now, you write down all the words that come to mind when you're asking those questions about yourself and pick out 2 or 3. Then you've got 2 or 3, narrow them down to one word out of each individual column. When you've got those words out of each individual column, you're able to create your brand statement. So for this, I've used a mock-up here. We've got Jane. She provides clothing to those who are adventurous in a bold journey with a feminine voice, helping them feel inspired and alive. I run through this task with everyone when we're building their brand. We create a brand statement. And just to reiterate, a brand statement is for you to understand and reaffirm what you do. It's different from a brand mission, which will be more public and outgoing. A brand statement is there to remind you. So again, you can come up with all the various different words to those questions, and it helps you reiterate the actual statement and phrase. And once you've got that, stick it on a Post-it note, a piece of paper, stick it on the mirror, make sure it's something you see each day, and remind yourself of what you're doing. It reminds yourself of who you are, and it reminds yourself of your X factor as well, why you stand out differently to your competition. This is one of the key steps in building a brand. So to have an impact with an audience, we have to understand who we are, what our mission is, and why we're doing it. So understanding your look, sound, and feel. And I know I'm going through quickly, but you can go back over these. So the big question is, how do we stand out online? Well, we all know the simple answer. You have to be young and cool, basically, and maybe do some TikTok dancing as well. No, that's not the actual answer. That's not the real answer, but that's what we all assume, and that's what we think. Essentially, the real answer is standing out and being authentic, and I'm going to come on to that in a moment. But before we come on to being authentic, we have to understand how you're going to be perceived. Now, perception online is very difficult. When you meet somebody in person or on like this, you've got a video platform, you're actually talking to someone, you're able to understand a bit more about them. But for example, if I type in something like anger into Google, anger is going to give me all these different pictures back. These are all the pictures that Google suggested for anger. If I'm creating content and putting a post out to showcase who I am and what I offer, it's going to be perceived in certain ways. People are going to take their sort of reactions to it are going to be different to other people, essentially. So when you are going to be online and you do need to be your authentic self, I'm going to come on to that in a moment, you have to take into account that people are going to perceive you differently. So you have to make sure that you're coming across in the right way possible. Now, you can subvert expectations. You don't have to appear in a certain way. You can use certain imagery and words to really captivate an audience and be perceived in a special way. So to give an example, what's the intent of your image or your post, as it were? We want to create images and we want to be our true selves. But emotions that people get when they look at these images and they look at these posts, they can be derived from all sorts of things. People can have emotions created from people, objects, places, or events. For example, the image on the right, it could be this sort of situation. Could you be invoking anger, yet selling car insurance? So one of the things to focus on when creating emotion, try not to show your expression. Instead, facilitate your audience's expression by subverting their expectations. Think about how you're going to be perceived when you do appear online. Think about your posts and how that's going to have an impact. And again, being your true, authentic self is what really wins. And again, I want to talk a little bit about structuring these images. There's different aspects of power in regards to structuring images. I haven't got all day to be able to go through this, and I'd love to be able to do it. I can talk about images all day long. But some things to take into account. Take into account the eye level for realism. Face people face on. Use the rule of thirds to create sort of wonder into the images. Again, looking right, moving stage right, as it were, is an opportunity to look into the future. Tilting the camera and giving yourself that opportunity to look like you're growing, as it were, by a slight shifting. There's a link there on how to frame images, and it's really important when appearing online how you frame yourself and how you come across, because this is going to have a massive impact on your audience. Regardless of what you're selling or what you're offering, it's how you're going to position and frame yourself is absolutely key. And for some tips, I recommend using some free stock images now and then if you can't afford to take images of your own. But in all honesty, a camera phone and a friend is all you need. An afternoon, some good lighting is all you need to take some images. Have a look at the link below. But if you can't afford to do that, don't have the time to do that, then grab some stock images. And there's some links here that you can use as well for some stock images. One of the key things to really take into account in having this impact with audiences, and it's really quite important, is what I like to talk about is the sound of your images. Now, people will think, what on earth are you talking about? Images don't have sound. Well, they do. They invoke sound. They invoke memories. They invoke emotions, as it were. So one of the things that's really important to remember, exposure to audio stimuli forces the brain to recognize aspects and visuals of our environment and mentally retain them. So I'll give you an example of this. We probably all know what that sounds like. And we probably all know what that sounds like. These are quite powerful images. We know what the sounds are because we've experienced these. So when we're putting out content to impact our audiences, we have to think about all the other senses that they're going to feel, not just the visual senses. We're going to be triggering stuff in their mind, triggering emotions. So we know what these things sound like. So what happens when we add words to it? Well, that gives a whole new depth of meaning. So we're having a real impact on our audiences. We use the right words, we use the right visuals, and it really sells the product or service that we're offering. And to give an example, and apologies for those that might be vegan or vegetarian, but as soon as you start combining the right visuals, the right words, you're triggering memories, you're triggering emotions. Again, your images can have sounds internally for your audience. And if you are focusing on working on words and working with images and things like that, one of the key tips is to use numbers. So use numbers in your title, the top 5 ways to find customers, 9 ways to improve SEO, etc., 7 secrets, 7 methods for this. We're socially and economically taught to recognize and understand numbers first before words. We recognize numbers instantly, far quicker than we do with words. So it's really important. So when you're starting to combine your images, perhaps use numbers as well with the text, and that helps people digest your content. It has a much bigger impact. People are more likely to click. Think about all the links and things you've clicked on when it's been a number, the 10 quickest ways to achieve that, the 5 secrets to doing this, the 7 reasons for this. Think about numbers having an impact on your audience. Again, it's cost effective. You're just using good terminology, good words, good phrases, and good imagery as well. So the big question, I'm going to use some slides from last year. I'm going to put in some new ones as well. Finding audiences and what they want. We know a little bit about how to build up a brand. And again, you can go back through those slides. We know a little bit about the actual impact our visuals are going to have and the writing and the words that we're going to use. But one of the key things I get asked a lot, and believe me, I'm going through this myself, is finding audiences and finding new clients. Where do we find them? This is a slide from last year, but again, I'm using it again. 54 million adults in the UK, 67 or something like that, total people in the UK. There are so many people in the UK, and there's a fact that I think it was in The Guardian, and I said this last year, 73% of British people don't know their neighbours' names. The average household knows about 1 to 3 households on the same road as them. If you've got a service business or a product business, start local. I mean, this image has about 40 households in it alone. Start looking left and right, start working on your street, start maybe putting out flyers and things like that. One of the key things that I find shocking is people don't use the local data to actually find their audience, especially if you've got a service business or a product business. I'll give this again. This is a scenario again I showed last year, but again, it's effective. I use Street Check when we're building up an actual business plan and strategy for the business. I use Street Check to bring up the demographics. Most service businesses fail to look at their local audience stats within the last 3 months or more. Using streetcheck.co.uk, you can get information on the social grade of your local neighborhood, the age groups and things like that. It gives you an idea of who's going to be living there and who you can market to, as it were. It's really, really important understanding who you are local if you're operating a local business. So I'm going to give another case scenario. Excuse me. I'm going to call this person Joe, but someone approached me a little while ago, and Joe wanted to run an advertisement at the local university, and the adverts, I think it was £100 per advert or something like that, 250 for one advert on social media. We all know students and young people, their attention span is that less of a goldfish, essentially. So it costs a lot of money to run an advert. He wanted to target students in particular, so the ages of 18 to 30. He wanted to target people that enjoy drinking, use the social media, and fun and outgoing, because he had a bar and he had a service that he wanted to incorporate. So what we did, instead of running £100 on an advert, we designed flyers on Canva. We printed about 4,000 flyers for about 20 quid or so on biza.co.uk. We used Google Maps to see where the nearest student hotspots are. We looked at the actual times on different sort of locations and things like that. You can see when they're busy. We placed an advert on Indeed for about 48 hours at £20, and we hired a couple of leaflet distributors, about £10 an hour. They're young students. And Joe also went down there as well, started handing out leaflets, handed out the best part of 3,000 leaflets, all for the cost of £100. That's far more better than running one social media advert. So there are different things you can do in finding the audience. And it's really important when you're finding your audience and having cost-effective ways. This is a slide that I've used so many times, but it's so important. I had someone else trying to locate audiences for them, but what they did, they run a design school for kids. Sorry, not a design school, a dance school for kids. They run a dance school for kids, and they were looking in their local area to try and attract children, essentially. So what we did, we looked on the local map to see where all the other dance schools were, and we highlighted them, and that's in this big sort of first red blob over here. We then looked at local convenience stores, which is in the circle here. And one of the things that we noticed was there's all these different shops and convenience stores outside of the blob of where the competition is. So they put posters in all the local convenience shops. Why? Because mums and dads on the school run go and pick up some bread and milk to and from school. Kids see the posters and things like that, and they inquire about dance classes after school. We decided to market where the competition won't. Use Google Maps. It's free to use these things. Do the research, see where your competition is, and look at areas where you can perhaps advertise and have a real impact. These methods really do have a way of working. And remember, you want to advertise and sort of promote your business where the competition won't. And the thing to remember is even the CEO gets their haircut. So attend places where there's going to be high footfall traffic. Go to networking events and promote and let people know about all these different services that you have on offer. Again, I'm running through for time as well because we've got about 10 minutes to go. But one thing that's key, I recommend, if you are sort of using networking events, use Eventbrite to find events. You can still find Eventbrite events online as well. So one of the things that I did during the pandemic and post-pandemic is I've started to use networking events. It's cost effective because it doesn't cost anything. I can choose to search for online events specifically, free events, networking, and they're all around the world, thousands of them. Hundreds of pages come up on Eventbrite showing all the different events. Now, yes, they might not necessarily be for my demographic, but I can sort through those pages and I can niche things down. Once I start attending those events and things like that, I then get chatting to the CEOs that get their haircut. I then get chatting to the people that actually make things happen, and they inquire about my services. So it's really, really important to think about where your audience is being and where they could be, essentially. So you can don't forget to use online events. If you're using local events to network, and this is a big pain in my, coming from a designer background, this is a big pain for me. But think about your banners and things like that as well. One of the things that is really key, so many people have banners made up and they put their contact information and the key things at the bottom. Most often these get hidden by perhaps coats, bags, tables, chairs. The image on the left here, Glow Group, they put all their contact information at the top of the banner. So you see that first. You see how you can connect with them first. If you don't get a chance to speak to the people running that store or running that stand, you can just take a snapshot and you can see it right there and then. Often you have people put their contact information at the bottom of their banners and people miss it. And if they don't get a chance to speak to you, they're going to walk on. So again, focusing on people and where to find them. One of the things that I recommend doing is checking out Steen's chat at 1:30. And he's going to be talking about AI to some degree. I use AI a little bit in regards to my actual research as well. ChatGPT is fantastic for this. And what I use it for is finding my actual user personas. So I use ChatGPT to source online data and statistics to provide consumer information and create actual audience personas based on online purchasing habits. Basically, I use ChatGPT to find people that are going to fit the demographics for what I'm creating for a brand, when I'm going to be creating a marketing plan and a brand strategy as well. So there's a link here for the AI PRM plugin you can get for ChatGPT. It's free to do. They have a premium version, but the free one works just fine. My sister runs a dog grooming business, so I type in user persona for dog grooming kits in the United Kingdom. It gives me the full demographics based on online purchasing data. It's absolutely fantastic for this. Sorry, Steen is on the main stage at 12 p.m. My mistake, not 1:30, 12 p.m. So go and check his talk as well. So I use this in finding audiences as well and finding out what it is they're after. Again, to repeat another slide from last year, but it's so important, using Facebook groups to find an audience. Join local Facebook groups. So small businesses in Hampshire is one of the groups that I join. You've got the search function at the top right of the group. You can search for posts where people are asking for stuff. You can search via anyone know, where can I, does anyone, looking for. And it comes out of all these posts. Can anyone recommend a good logo designer? Where can I get a cheap virtual office? Anyone know any local cake makers? Again, these are cost effective. They're free to do. They just take a little bit of time. Remember, that time is self-investment in your business. So you use these services, join Facebook, join local groups, community groups, business groups, then use the search function and then type in anyone know, where can I, does anyone, and have a look through the posts. Stick the kettle on, have a cup of tea, take an hour out of your day to do this because it's definitely worth it. Respond to people. Hey, did you ever get this sorted? I offer this service. Another one from last year, but I'm repeating it again, answersocrates.com. It is a search engine collation tool. Basically, it uses all the sort of search questions that people put into Google. So for dog walking, people are going to be putting in questions, can I, can, should I, how. It collates all the questions that people are asking Google, and it can export it into CSV so you can see what the most popular questions are around a subject of your choice. Choose a country, choose a language, choose a topic, boom, it gives you the answers that you need. One of my favorite recently over the last couple of years that is really, really important, using YouTube as well to find what audiences are after. YouTube now has a feature where you can scroll through a video and see what the most replayed section is. This one here on the left, how to leash train your puppy. 2.4 million views on training a puppy at 1 minute 40. The most important sort of information in the video, the most sought after information in that video is shown, is highlighted, most replayed here. There's one about using Canva for beginners. They highlight the most important bit, the most replayed bit, and almost an hour and a half into the video. Use videos on the subjects based on the services and the products you sell. Find where the most replayed sections are. You can download the transcript script from the options below where it says share, download, clip, and all that. Or you can actually just watch that bit and take notes. Look at the most replayed section on the YouTube videos. Take that and you use it in your own content. Add it to the title of your blog posts, your social media posts, and things like that. Look at what people are searching for. Look at the most replayed sections of the videos around your service or business and take the information, because that's what people are looking for. Make sure you provide that in posts of your own. It's free to do this. Just takes a little bit of time. That's self-investment. And if you really are struggling what to put, and if you really are wondering what to put out there for content, it's an old favorite slide of mine, but give away your secrets. And the way you give away your secrets is by breaking it down. You break in little chunks of your actual knowledge and information and release it on a daily basis. So for secrets, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, etc. You can ask yourself these questions. Why am I interested? Did it get my full attention? How did it get my full attention? Think about adverts that have hooked you. Ask these questions. Think of the answers and then apply it to your own content. And if you really do struggle, use the content map on the right-hand side there for a post. Gives you ideas and tips and things to post out there to really have an impact on your audience. And finally, if you are meeting in person and you are going to these networking events, make sure you get some business cards printed off. Banana Print do business cards really cheap. I think you can get free business cards and just for the cost of postage as well. So I really recommend using that. And if you go onto my website and join my mailing list, I'll give you 100 ways to find new customers. So again, I've blown through that because I know we're short on time, but I will stop the slideshow, stop sharing. I know it's a lot to sort of take in, but if anyone has any questions, by all means, I have just flown through that. So apologies if that's a lot to digest. You can catch me in my expo booth later. I'll be happy to go over any of the slides, any of the questions. If you felt like you missed the entire thing because I went too quickly, that's fine. You can message me directly and I can make sure you get a copy of the slides. Excuse me. Yeah, I can make sure the slides are available. Alan, I can probably give them to you in digital format. I can export them as a PDF and everyone can have the slides to read, digest, and also you can rewatch the video again as well. Or you can join me in the expo booth later. I know it's a bit fast, but yeah, I hope I gave some really sort of useful points there for you guys. Does anyone have any questions? Just because we do have a couple of minutes. No, we all good? Yeah, I'll make sure that everyone gets the slides. Join me in the expo booth. I'll literally convert this into a PDF in a moment and email over to Alan and Emily so they have that as well, and make sure that everyone gets that. Or you can join me in the expo booth or go onto my website. You can reach out to me there, or reach out to me in the chat later on today and I can send them over to you directly and things like that. I'll make sure that everyone gets the slides. Cheers. Thank you for the feedback. Does anyone have any questions? We do have a couple of minutes. No, not a problem. I recommend going to check Steen on the stage next. He's going to be talking about Web3 and also ChatGPT as well. It has some real benefits of finding audiences and having an impact on audiences as well. You can really use it to develop some amazing content. And again, it's cost effective as well. Fantastic. Cheers. Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. I will be in the expo booth later on today, so you can feel free to jump and catch me. If you go up to the reception, scroll all the way down, you'll find my expo booth in there. Brilliant. Cheers, guys. Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. Yeah, go check out Steen next. Really recommend it. And also this afternoon, 3:30, I think it is, or double check the time, but Branding by Jules this afternoon, someone I've been following for a while. Really inspirational work, so definitely go and check her out. But thank you all for taking half an hour out of your day just to listen to me waffle on. I really do appreciate it. Cheers, everyone. I'll wrap it up there. I'm going to jump on to the next stage for the next one. Any questions, you can catch up with me later on. Thank you so much, and have an awesome day as well. And if you don't get the slides, you can't get the slides, you can reach out and find me directly or go onto my website. You'll be able to get into contact with me there. Awesome stuff, guys. Thank you. Right, I'll wrap it up there. I'm going to join the next stage, get myself a quick water break, and yeah, go back for the main stage. Thank you all. Cheers, everyone. Thank you.